Hello my fellow crafters and welcome to David's Craft Room. My name is David and this is my craft room. And nice of you to join me here. Today we're gonna make my first ever project on this channel using my Cricut. Now it's by all means not the first one I ever made, but the first one on this channel together. And I'm gonna keep it very simple and basic because what we're gonna do is I'm going to make this sign together with you. My logo on a big frame. So we're going to do that together. So if you want to learn how I did this and learn the basics of Design Space, keep watching because that's what this video is all about. Now let's, without any further ado, get out our Cricuts and start Cricuting. Have fun! Okay, so welcome to Design Space. We're gonna start a new project. So I'm gonna go over here to New Project. And then we have our blank canvas. And of course we need something to work with. And as I just showed you, I'm gonna make a stand to be behind me when I film to decorate my craft room. And that's gonna be my logo. And so we go to Upload and then Upload Image. Then I'm going to go to Finder in this case, because that's what I use. I'm on a Mac. I'm going to take my logo and drag that right over to Design Space. You see the color changing to green. Let go. And it's downloading it into Design Space. Then we have three simple choices. We have simple, moderately complex, and complex. And what I tend to do is I always choose complex, because I want all the details to remain there. In this case, it's not that big of a choice because we're going to turn it into one color SVG, but yeah, I still choose complex because that's what I always do. Then here, there's no background to be removed, but normally if there would have been a white background or something, we can remove the background here. In this case, there's no background because it's a transparent image. I'm going to click Apply and Continue. And then I have to choose, do I want to print then cut, or do I want a cut image? In this case, I want a cut image because I don't want to print and cut. I want this really to be cut out of Final. So I'm going to choose cut image by clicking on it. You can see the green border coming around it. And then I click on Upload. Our image is now uploaded. Here's the one we just did. So I'm going to click on that. And then down at the bottom, you see Add to Canvas. And here you can see what you have selected. There are multiple things you can select. I can also say I want the other one, etc. You can see it coming here. In this case, I don't want that. I just want one. And I'm going to say Add to Canvas. And now here we have the one image. Here we have one cut file and it is in one color. Now, I don't want that. I want to have this splash of paint or whatever you call it. I want this to be in a different color than my name and the craft room. So I'm going to duplicate this. And there are many ways you can duplicate. You can right click and click duplicate here. You can select your image and go to your right hand and you can see duplicate over here. Now if I click that, I have a second version. Next, there is this feature where we can contour things out that we don't want in Design Space. So I'm going to click Contour, which is at the far right bottom of your screen. It says Contour. Click that. And then this one is quite easy. I will say Hide all contours. And if I click out of the screen now, here is my paint swoosh. And as you can see, it also hit this small cutout and this cutout because I didn't want it to be that detailed, because with Final, that's not going to work. And we're going to work with Final, so I will keep it like that. Next, I'm going to select my second image and hit Contour again. And now we're going to contour out this whole image. So I've clicked on that in this screen. You can see in this screen, you can see everything, and I can click out the insides of the O We don't want that. We want to keep those. So I'm going to click on the big paint swoosh, on this insert, and on this small dot. And then we're going to click outside. And it's all gone. Now, for instance, if I would have forgotten to do this small one, I don't know what will happen. We'll see. There we have it. You still have a small piece left. So going back, you can always go back and forth to check what you have contoured out or not. I'm going to click that piece again. I'm going to click outside of the box, and there we have it. I'm going to put that back, and then we're going to choose colors. Now in this case, I'm going to use teal sorts of colors. I'm not going to be bothered that much because I know what colors of vinyl I'm going to use. But I'm just going to pick two, and I'm going to pick two different colors because that will prompt Design Space to tell me to load a different mat. And this is our finished design. So I'm going to select all, and I'm going to say group. And I can do that two different ways. I can click here on the right on group. I can right click again and say group. And that way I can move it around. But more importantly, I can resize it and it will all stay correctly in balance. Now I've measured my frame that it's going to be on. So what I'm going to do, and this is what I find the most useful, I'm going to go to shapes, click on that, and click on a square. Then I'm going to unlock my aspect ratio. You can do that by clicking on this little lock here in the bottom, click on it, and we can type in the measurements that we have. Now I know mine is a width of 33 and a height of 27.5 centimeters, that is. And there we have our frame. Now I'm going to send this to the back. And again, there are several ways you can do that. Right click, send to back, or you can go to the top, select the image, go to the top and arrange. And here you can also choose send to the back. There are many ways you can do the same thing, which in a way is the beauty of Design Space, but also if you're new, it can be very complicated. But once you get the hang of it, it's easy. So I'm going to send this to the back, and we can see here my image actually by accident is quite okay. And I'm not going to be bothered with the empty space above and below. This is going to be quite okay. I'm going to make it slightly, just a hair bigger. I will then delete my background, and we can go to my machine selection, and we can go to make it. So I will click make it. Now it's asking us, do we want to cut without a mat, on the mat, or multiple ways? And in this case, I'm going to choose on the mat because I don't have these colors in the smart material. So on the mat. And then I'm going to click done. Next, now it's going to show us the mat, and see we have the square mat here. We don't have to mirror because it's not heat transfer vinyl. And on the second screen, it shows us the second text. So we're going to go back here, and then I'm going to say continue. Now Design Space is going to connect to my Explore 3 via Bluetooth. And when it's connected, we can choose our materials. Now there are many ways to do that. If you have used the product before and it's one of your favorites, you can link it here as I did with washi tape, which is actually what we're going to use now, but I'm going to show you. There are many different materials you can use on your Cricut, and I'm going to scroll through them. Normally you would choose one of the vinyl options, but the vinyl that I'm going to be using is, I know out of experience, the best way to cut that is the washi sheet setting. So that's what I'm going to be using. Now you can scroll through everything, or you can just simply type in here washi. There we can see washi sheet. I will click that, If I haven't done it yet, you can hit the star and that will make it a favorite. Click done. And then all we have to do is switch over to our Cricut and load the mat. So I'll see you on the Cricut side. Right, we're at the Cricut now and I'm gonna put the vinyl on. Now normally if I would use Cricut vinyl I would use the green mat, but in this case I'm choosing to use the blue mat because the vinyl I'm using has a paper backing and that will not always work that well when I put it on a green mat. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna line this up. And I'm going to use my brayer. This is the Cricut brayer, but if you have another one that will work just fine. But I do like the Cricut brayer because it's a really hard rubber one. It doesn't damage your vinyl. So I'm going to brayer that on so it's really good on there. What I do when I put in the mat, I'm going to make sure it's tucked in tight with the left guide that's over here. Push it to the front so it's touching the rubber wheels here. And then I'm going to push the flashing arrow button. And what it's going to do now, it's going to make sure that there's enough material, or in this case, it's going to check to see if it is the correct mat. And when it's done with that, we can just simply hit the play button and it's going to start cutting out the material. I'm actually going to take my weeding tool and see if it really is cut out. So I'm going to do that by taking up a bit of the vinyl here. And as I can see, yeah, it's cut perfectly. And this is going to throw it out. Okay, so I've got my vinyl on the mat and I'm going to put it in again. So I'm going to push it into the left roller, push it forward against the gray rollers you see, and then press the flashing arrows again, and it's going to load my mat. The mat is fully loaded, and I'm going to hit the play button, and it'll start cutting. Now I have gone through many sorts of transfer tapes, and it turns out these two are my favorites. I've used this. This was a huge roll and it's going to last me forever. This is a recent one I bought and I absolutely love it. It's the paper version of a transfer sheet. Now what I found is that I only use the Cricut brand transfer vinyl for Cricut vinyl, and especially when you use the smart vinyl, because that is notorious it weeds perfectly. It's just next to impossible to get it off the backing. So I will use the Cricut one for that. For all the others I will use either the paper one or the transparent one I showed you. Now I'm gonna take this off, and what I do, I will turn over my mat and take the mat from the vinyl. Don't take the vinyl from the mat. This will prevent it from curling up, and that will help you as well with all the other stuff that you're gonna do with it. So I'm gonna take my big scissors. These are my favorite scissors. They are the Tim Holtz scissors and they are perfect. Love them. I'm gonna cut this a bit straighter. I'm gonna cut off a bit at the bottom. Because the less material we have, the easier it's gonna get. Next, I'm gonna take my transfer paper, roll it off a bit, put it on my desk, take this as a taco and just put it on there, laying it flat. And then I'm going to take my scraper tool and I'm going to scrape. Really varnish this to that paper from the back. I'm going to take my scissors and then I'm going to take my second piece of vinyl, we go. Put it on there and varnish it onto that transfer paper. I'm going to take my scissors, turn it over, and really varnish this on there as well. Now what I found is when you do this with the Cricut and you really varnish it on there, it's next to impossible to get it off. Now in this case, it really helps me to do it like this. I'm gonna take my scissors, just cut around my design to get as much of this transfer paper off, because I find that easier to work with when I'm sticking it down. That's preference. This is how I do it. You do you. I'm going to do the same here. Take my scissors, cut off that excess, and varnish, varnish, varnish. And I'm going to put this to the side, and then I'm going to get my blank. I'm going to put my glass plate on here because I know it needs to fit underneath. Sorry for the reflection. Nothing we can do about that. I'm going to take my craft knife. I'm going to cut it right across, making sure it's straight, and cut this side as well. There we go. Next, what I need to do, so I'm going to clean the inside of this, and I'm going to do that with just a lint-free cloth and some alcohol. Next, I'm going to take my piece of paper, put that in there from the bottom, just slides in. That's really nice with this system. Next, I'm going to take my glass plate, clean the inside, just spraying off camera because I don't want my paper to be wet from the alcohol. I'm going to turn it around and slide it in as well. There we go. And it's in there. Nice and snug. Next, I'm going to take my alcohol spray, spray it on there, and take off the fingerprints and any other oils that are in there, because that will really help me with sticking the vinyl on there. Okay, now it's already time to assemble. This is what I like about the transparency of the transfer paper that I'm using, because I can really help me position it. So I know this needs to be about here. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take my backing and really slowly peel that away. And I really do that at a 90-degree angle, but you see it really sticks, the vinyl really sticks nicely to it, to this transfer paper. Now I cannot tell you, I mean I can tell you the brand, but it's different in every country. You just have to find the right one for you. I'm in the Netherlands, so if you live in the Netherlands I can tell you which one I have, but I don't even know if that's for sale in Belgium, and I definitely don't know what's for sale in the United States. So now I'm gonna stand up and really make sure that this is straight on there. I think we're good. So then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my scraper tool, come in from the middle and varnish out. And really make sure that's on there. Then I'm going to take my transfer tape, I'm going to peel it off slowly, but everything laid down perfectly. There we go. Next is my swoosh. So I'm going to peel the backing off. Oh, that's going to be very easy. This is just one part. And I know how this should be positioned, but otherwise it would be really helpful to have Design Space there as a reference so you know how to assemble your project. But in this case, I know where it needs to go. This piece wanted to stuck down first, so I'm gonna varnish it down and peel off that transfer paper. And there we have it. There is the final result. Now I'm just gonna take my finger and really press on these letters again to make sure it's all nicely adhered, but from what I can see, it really is. So here we have it, the final result of the first project we made together for David's Craft Room, the channel. So I want to thank you for watching. If you like this and if you want to learn more about how to use Design Space and really learn how to make fun projects with your Cricut, please consider to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you for the next one. Bye!